Hi, good day. Welcome to Emoji Come YouTube channel. My name is Godwin. So if you're just seeing our video for the first time, welcome to this channel. Let me clap for you. I should have even brought a bell. All right. In the past, we've done lessons on consumer behavior, theory of consumer behavior, looking at the concept of utility, indifference curve, project lines, optimal bundles, Marshall demand curve, Ickian demand curve, etc. So some of them you might have heard them before, and some of them you may not have heard them before, but then it's okay. So in this particular lesson, we're talking about Slutsky equation. Whether it's Slutsky or Slutsky, I don't know, right? But the most important thing is that you can spell it, and then you know what it entails, right? So this Slutsky equation is just telling us is an equation that decomposes the total effects of a price change on a given product. So what I'm trying to say is that it tells you the parts of the price change that is a substitution effect. Then it tells you the other part of the price change um, that is the income effect, right? So and then before you are before watching this particular video, you must have known about income and substitution effects. If you don't know about those ones, I think you should go back, right, and study them more so that you can understand what we're going to do here. So the substitution effect basically is talking about the change in the demand of a product, right, when the price of the product changes. So it's just trying to like measure what happens to the demand for a product, like between two goods, like what happens to the demand for a product after its price has changed, right? Then, or after its relative price has changed, okay? But then, if you look at the income effect, just trying to talk about the change in the pattern of the demand for a product, or demand for not a product really, two products, due to a change in real income, right? So the income of the consumer has changed, and then what is going to happen to how will the demand for the two products, how will they adjust, right, and etc like that. The total effect is just basically the sum of the income and the substitution effect. So like let's look at calculations. What I want to do is a calculation. We've done graphs in the past, all right, and definitions in the past. So for the substitution effect that I call the sub effect, please don't write sub effect in your exam, all right, just for the sake of space. Now it is we are looking at the price change in good x1. So good x1 is one that's experiencing a price change. If it were a good x2, then this would have been x2 x2. Like, do you understand? If it was good one, then this would have just been one all over. Then it was good two. So like just product A, product B, whatever. But here our first good is good X1, and then it is the one that its price is changing, or that we are trying to like measure the income and substitution effect of, like something like that. Now X1 for a substitution effect is a function, like this is demand for X1 due to current price, P star, P asterisk is current price. Everything that has asterisk on it, every variable that has asterisk on it means the current value. All right, so the first, its substitution effect is equal to the demand of X1 as a result of the current price and the current income minus the demand of X1, which is a function of the previous price and the previous income. Now, for you to understand it, for you to like calculate the income effect is just the demand for good X1, which is due to the current price and the previous income, then minus demand for good X1 as a function of the current price and the current income. So like this is the formula that you have to like memorize. Now for the total effects, so I've written SC plus IE here because of space. Now if it was to be an examination, so what we are supposed to do is to write this formula plus this formula, and that'll be it. So let's solve an example for us to like understand what we are doing. It's a very simple thing, to be honest. So example, we have a couple of questions here, and this is actually an exam question for a particular set of students. They are 401 paper actually. Now, utility function U is a function of two goods, x1 raised to power 0.3, x raised to power 0.7. Now, the demand function for x1 is 0.3 m over p1. M is income, p1 is the price of good x1. Now, same thing for x2, 0.7 m over p2. Now, what would you know? 0.7 plus 0.3 will give you 1, because income is split between these two goods. So like the income has to be exhaustive. Given all of these important variables, the first question says calculate how much money is needed to buy the initial bundle with the new prices. How much money is required to buy the initial bundle, right, with the new prices? So okay, so that means there was a bundle. There was a bundle of X1 and X2. That is, X1 was how many X1 was bought, how many X2 was bought initially. So after getting that, to now look at, okay, now that the price of one of the products has changed, you understand? So how much money is now required to buy that same X1 and X2? That's what the question is, talking about. So to solve that, it's easy. X1 equals, look at the function 0.3m over P1. So 0.3, the initial income was 2250, 2250. Now this one divided by initial price of good one was 45. 45. So when you calculate this one out, we are going to get 15. So x1 is 15. Now you do the same thing for x2. X2 equals 0.7. So I get 2250. Now divided by the price of good x2 was 22.5. 22.5. And then this is going to give you 40. This is going to give you 70 rather. Going to give you 70. So please use your calculator. It's easy. So that means the initial bundle of x1 and x2, s1 comma x2 equals 15 comma 70, which is cool. So the question is, to buy 15 and 70, now that the price has fallen, how much money do we need? All right, so what is the formula for the budget line? That one is m equals p1 x1 plus p2 x2. So we are still trying to solve question A. So M is what we don't know. So M equals P1. Remember that P1 has fallen because question says now at the new prices. The only price that changed is P1. So P1 is 30 now. We're not going to use 45. 30 into bracket with X1 is 15 plus P2 is still the same price, 45. Yeah, is it 45? No, no, no. P2 is 22.5. 22.5. 2.5, then all of this one multiplied by 70. When you calculate it, M, which is our M star now, like this, the new income, is going to give us, I think 2025. Yeah, so this is going to give us 2025. Remember that our P star is 30 now, then our M star is 2025. So with that, we're done with question A. So the amount of money that is required to buy those two bundles, now that the price of this has fallen, is 2025, 2025. So I want to check if there is no mistake. Oh, no mistake. Now, B says, with the new income, what is the demand? No, no, yeah. What is the demand with the new income and prices? So with the new income and prices, what is the demand of both goods? Now, the reason why we are trying to calculate all of those things is because of in the formula x1 you need x1, right, at the new price and at the new income. Do you get it? So it is here too. You need x1 at the new price at the new income, so you need that value because of something. All right, so for x1 at the new income, so x1 at the new income equals still the same formula, 0.3, 0.3, but then you use the new income now, 2025, divided by um, I'm going to use the new price, which is 30, divided by 30. So when you multiply this one out, that's going to give us 20.25. It's going to give us 20.25. Now I'm going to do for x2 as well. X2 0.7 into brackets 2025 divided by its own price was constant anyways at 22.5. 22.5. So the new demand for good x2 is 63. 63. So that was all about the question. What is the demand with the new income and prices? So this guy's price did not change, 20.5 is there, but this guy's price change, income also change. So with this, we can now go to calculate the third question, which is calculate the effect of price changes on the consumer demand, decomposed into substitution effect and the income effect. All right. So because good one is the one whose price is changing or whose price has changed, so that is the one that we are going to calculate its own substitution effect and income effect for. So in this place, substitution effect is just going to be good x1, at the new price and the new income, which is 20.25, 20.25 minus good x1 at the old price and the old income. Where is it? Old price, old income minus 15. And this is equal to 5.25. Okay, then this is like I. And I substitution effect, SE rather, For you, don't write SE in an exam. Thank you. Now, income effect equals, look at that formula, X1 at the new price but the old income. Did we calculate anything like that? With X1 at the new price but the old income. I don't think we did, so we have to calculate it now. For us to be able to use that formula. All right, so first thing, let me just go and calculate that somewhere. With X1 will be equal to 0.3 at new price but old income. So I'm going to be having 2250 that was then divided by 30, new price divided by 30. Didn't we do this? 0.3, okay, 0.3, okay, no, we didn't do it. So what's the formula for that? 2250, so that's going to be 22.5. 0.3 multiplied by 2250 divided by 30 equals 22.5. So the demand for X1 there is 22.5. So that's what we are now going to use in this formula. So our income effects, which is the demand for X1 at the new price, 22.5, minus X1 at new price, new income, new price, so 20.25 minus 20.25. So this is going to give us something about 2.25, I think. 22 minus, okay, this is going to be 2.25. So that's the income effect. Which is the total effect, is now going to be the sum of the two of them. So 5.25 plus 2.25, that's going to give us 7.5. So based on the total effects of the price change, so we'll be expecting that the demand, like totally, like eventually at the end of the day, the demand for good X1 would have increased by 7.5 due to the price change from what it was initially. So which means at the beginning, the initial bundle, X1 was 15. So now after income and substitution effects have done their job because of the change in price, right, the total effect now is that the quantity of good X1 that will be demanded is going to be 15 plus 7.5, going to give us 22.5. Do you understand? But if it was based on the substitution effect alone, that would have been 15 plus 5.25. That means based on the substitution effect alone, the demand for good X1 increased from 15 to 20.25, because when you add this and this, you're going to get 20.25, right? And then based on the income effect, so you're going to be having 15 plus substitution effect that has already happened, 20.25, then plus 2.25 here, right? So which takes you to like 20.5, and then that's where the whole thing is, really going to end. So the next question now says, let me answer D first before now. Let me answer E first. So E actually is what kind of good is this product? So how would you know? How can you tell? This is not going to come from your theory, right? Because for normal goods, income and substitution effect of the price change, they reinforce each other. That is, if the substitution effect is saying minus, right? If it's a negative number, then the income effect will also be negative number. So minus minus, that's what we mean by saying reinforcing each other. And then the other way around, if substitution effect is is a positive change. So and income effect is also a positive change, then it is still a normal good. So normal good, the total effect reinforce each other. They reinforce each other. So they go the same way. Whatever the direction of the income effect, the direction of the substitution effect is the direction of the income effect. Not the same value exactly, but if one is plus, the other is plus. If one is minus, the other is minus. So asking us that what type of good is good one, right? Good X1. So good X1 is a normal good. Normal good. And what is the reason? Because, right, the income effect and the substitution effect reinforce each other. Reinforce each other. So and that's we are done. So the final thing about this question now is that we should draw the graph of our result. And that's kind of interesting. So draw the graph of your result. Starting from the initial prices, looking at the changes in prices, substitution, or whatever. So draw your graph and then put all of the values accurately. So let's get to that in a bit. So let's start answering that very interesting question. That takes us to our budget line and our difference goal. Um, no, yeah, straight line. I don't know what we did to each other. Okay. So here I have good x1. Here I have good x2. The one whose price is changing, just put it here. It's just better than it, not stress yourself. Now, initially, the consumer was on this indifference curve. So you just okay. Let me draw. Let me just draw this on this indifference curve. On this budget line rather, I'm going to call B1, and then there's an indifference curve on it, IC1. So initial equilibrium was where this where the budget line was tangential to indifference curve. Your x2 there was 70, and then your x1 was 15. Now, how do you indicate the substitution effect? What do? You draw a new budget line that is also tangential to the indifference curve. So I'm going to draw something like this. Okay, I think I tried. So B2. Um, so what am I going to do here? In this place now, so, remember that substitution effect was 5.5, right? 5.25. So I add 5.25 to the initial 15. So I'm going to be getting 20.25. 20.25. That's on B2. Now, how do I denote my income effect? My income effect, I'm not going to draw a third budget line, but that third budget line must be parallel to the second budget line. That is, I'll draw a third budget line that will start from here, right? But it must be parallel to this one that I drew in red. So I just draw something like this. So if I were to like maybe extend it, so this one is going to come something like here. So your graph doesn't have to be this big. Oh. So you have B3. All right. So um, is there a way I could have just drawn it like maybe not up to this point because I'm trying to like the gap because what I'm going to do now is I'm okay. It's okay. It's okay. So I'm just going to draw another indifference curve. Remember that another budget line. Yeah, indifference curve. Sorry, another indifference curve. So here B2 is parallel to B1. So I could also extend B2. It has to be parallel. Let's extend my B2. All right. So it's just manipulation, right? I know that this is substitution effect like this is substitution effect that says increase, right? So income effect is what I want to draw now. So what I'm just going to do is I do a manipulation. I put a new indifference curve. I can just draw a new indifference curve here. Call this IC2. Then this is points of tangency. And I bring this guy down here. So this is my income effect. Also going like this. All right. And then 20.25. So what value am I going to put here? The other value here, 22.5 for the income effect, or just 15, like 50 substitution effect took you to 20.25. So 20.25 plus the income effect here, the balance here, 20.25 plus 2.25. And that's going to give us 22.5. So yeah, I'm going to have 22.5. All right. So what am I leaving out? I don't know. Am I leaving out anything? I don't think so. So the last thing is a graph showing a graph showing the income effects and let me put substitution effect first. I'm so used to writing income effect, substitution effect and the income effects of um good good x1. So you have to always title your graphs. You have to always title your graphs. All right. So if it was to be marked, if I were the one marking, what you labeled on this axis, like your good x2, so I would have marked this. I'll mark your origin, always has to be there. I'll mark your x1. Then your labeling of I may not even put this b3 here, like, so it does not look like a number on the horizontal axis. Well, it is actually, so, but let me just put my B3 here to show that I'm using to show um, one indifference curve like that, one budget line like that. So B3, did you label it B3, B2? All right, and then this is B1 in difference of 1, difference of 2. Then your arrows, I'm conversant with the I'm looking at the arrows. Now, from what I've drawn here, the substitution effect is slightly bigger than the income effect, but then it's okay because the values, right, show that the substitution effect change more than the income effect. You understand? So when you're drawing yours, you could just make it in a way that it is so obvious, like without really looking at it like this. Like so obvious that okay, the substitution effect is bigger than the income effect. For mine, right? Mine is mine. The substitution effect is also bigger, but like you have to kind of look at it like really well. So it's just a little bit of a difference. So which means that I didn't draw it perfectly right, right? But this still shows that substitution effect is bigger than income effect. So for you, substitution effect will just be from here to here, like this gap, right? And then your income effect will now be from here to just here, something like this. So it is obvious to the blind that this space is bigger than that space. So that's what I'm trying to say. Don't just draw something anyhow, right? And if you look at it, we are not really talking about what is happening to good x2. So x2, something like this actually. So we are not really talking about what's happening to with x2. It's also just with x1. So no need to be tracing x2 out here, x2 out here. Like no need. Just this is what we are looking for. So now after you've drawn your graph, now it says draw the graph. It is a graphically explain. But I may just want to also say it that just explain it with your graph. That from the graph above, right? Based on the income effect, the demand for x1 increased from 15 to 20.25, and then based on the substitution sorry, the first one, based on the substitution effects, the demand for good X1 increased from 15 to 20.25. And based on the income effect, the demand further increased to 20.5. Right, so since SE and IE are reinforcing each other, then of course X1 must be the normal good. After doing the graph, I can see that. But I just to be on the safe side, just to be on the safe side. All right, so yeah, that's it. Don't just say the substitution effect made the demand for the good to increase and then income effect made it to increase. Like what are you saying? Like talk with the numbers that you put in your graph. You understand? So that's the end of this particular question. So the next thing we're going to do is an assignment that is very similar to this as well. So here is your assignment. A consumer observed to be faced with the following demand function. So it's just one product anyways. P1 equals M over 2x1 minus 10. So his monthly income is 1,200 naira, 1200. If the market price increased from 4 naira to 6 naira, calculate the substitution effect, the income effect, and the total effect. Now, remember that even in that, what do you call it now? Even in that, when we were talking about the first example, like we didn't really need X2 for a lot of things, right? So it was more of X1 demand, change in demand, due to the new price, the new income, and blah blah blah. All right. So yeah, you would have to calculate the new income anyway because there is a change in price. All right. So, but it's not a problem. So, monthly income of 1,200. Now, if the market price is increased from 4 to 6 naira, calculate one the substitution effect, two this income effect, and three the total effect. Then B graphically depict your results, something like this that we did earlier. Then what type of good is X1? Explain. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. So what exactly are you going to do to good X2? Because you don't have X2 in this place. What exactly are you going to do to it? So I would love to see what you guys are going to come up with. Once again, thank you and see you when I see you.